Good evening and welcome to the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Round 8 of the Taco Tuesday series takes us to the Indianapolis Motor Speedway in the United States of America. Tom Kenshaw, commentator for this evening's race, and we could well have 23 drivers competing this evening. That's a record number if all that have checked in turn up this evening. So we should be in for a cracking race here at what is known as the Brickyard. Currently in the free practice session at the moment as drivers are making their way into the lobby. Some interesting news broke out during the course of the last 7 days. Championship leader Darskell will no longer be competing in the Taco Tuesday series. He's made the switch from PlayStation to PC. Doesn't mean to say all his points will be expunged. I think there will be left on the championship table, but he will not compete for the remainder of this campaign, so it's almost certain he will not win the championship this season. Most realistically, it's going to be either Kevin McKenzie, who you can see in your picture, Ryan, currently third on the leaderboard in this practice session in the 1111 Mercedes. It says 20 on the classification screen, but he is in fact in the 111 Mercedes AMG. Another championship contender also, that would be Cord, who is out on circuit at the moment, but is yet to get a lap on the board. He's got a golden opportunity to win this championship now that Darskell is almost certain out of the running. "17 drivers have checked in, well, 17 full-time drivers, I should say. Tarek not around again this evening. LK also out. Arnian not in tonight. Nick is also missing, as is Palermo. On the reserve driver side of things, 6 drivers, or 6 reserves, have been called in. Nez, who competed last week in Austin, and also competed at Zolder, I believe. He's in tonight, as is Gio, who has competed. I think this may well be his first appearance in Tier 3 this season. Face Stitch, who's making his debut, as is Okudama. Passion Instinct, likewise. And finally Jack Davison, who didn't get very far last week. He's in tonight, hoping for better luck here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. 3 rounds to go in the championship, including tonight, all of which will be in the USA. It's Indianapolis tonight. Next week we go to Watkins Glen, and the season finale will be at Laguna Seca in California, which will be a 90-minute special instead of a 60-minute race as usual, with 2 mandatory pit stops included instead of 1. In regards to the championship then, because we know Darskell was effectively out of the running, but let's say for now McKenzie, who's in second, he leads by just a point over Ryan, with Cord another 21 points back. If all of them stumble this evening, and Facco does well tonight, he wasn't in last week, was Facco, but he's in tonight, a good result, perhaps a podium finish, could throw him back into the hunt. But his best result this season has been a 4th place finish in round 3 of the championship, which will be, just trying to get my memory right, it's Brands Hatch. That was his best performance there. Here's Jay Brooker, who had a very tough time in Austin last week, got involved in too many incidents at the start. He whacked the barrier very hard on the back straight before turn 12, which sent him into the pit lane, and he lost a lot of time needing repairs done. But he made it to the end of the race at least. 13 drivers out of the 17 that started made it to the end, including Springbok, who was 6 laps down, but did complete 75% of the race leader's distance, and the reason for that was because of his connection, because he was running in 4th place for a good while before his connection issues had kicked in. They completed enough laps to at least get some points anyhow. He's second out of all those in the reserve category this season. We did have a few drivers who were previously reserves earlier in the campaign that have been elevated up to a full-time race seat. So Brooker, third fastest, a quarter of a second off the pace to the fastest time. I can imagine a lot of drivers will be pushing hard in these final moments of practice before the 15-minute qualifying session begins and then a 60-minute race. Looking at the lap times that are shown on screen, I would expect for this to be a 39-lap race. That's just an estimate. In order to complete 75% of the race distance, I would expect the drivers to have completed at least 30 laps in order to do so. And one important rule, actually, which I had a little bit of a debate with some of the team about this rule, is if you run out of fuel on the last lap or whatever, and you don't make it to the checkered flag, you do not get any points. You get a DNF. However, if you disconnected and you completed 75% of the race leader's distance, you do get the points. And personally, it quite baffled me, if I'm honest with you, but unfortunately I don't make up the rules. It's apparently the game that makes up the rules, of which the FRL choose to go with. But it is what it is anyhow. We saw Nez, who was running comfortably in the top 10 in Solder, and then he ran out of fuel. I think he was already a lap behind the race leader, so he would have been 2 laps down on the classification at the end of the race, but the game itself did not award him the points. It awarded him a DNF and a non-score. I don't know if that would be something for the Formula Racing League to reconsider for future seasons, but that's not down to me. It's a rare occurrence, but as long as we are seeing good racing, who cares? We've got a fight on our hands for the championship, most realistically between 3 drivers. However, if anything happens to McKenzie, Ryan and Cord, it could really open things up even more. And Kane Brooker's coming in cheering Jay on. He's confident he's going to be in the top 5 by the end of the race. Judging by Jay's pace during the course of this free practice session, he does stand a good chance, but single lap pace is one thing. Actually keeping your car out of trouble, keeping it clean, not getting involved in anyone's incidents, and making it to the checkered flag, that's an entirely different matter. So Prentice is fastest, the man who was on pole last week in Austin. He's up by nearly 2 tenths over second place Daru, who won out in the end at the Circuit of the Americas. McKenzie's not far behind, neither is Brooker, Ryan or Vantage. There's a car off at turn number 10, I think it is. I'm just trying to remember my turn numbers actually for Circuit of Indianapolis Motor Speedway. I'm just trying to remember from the days of Formula 1 when they last raced at this track in 2007. The difference with the layout is where we go to where the 46 is on circuit, that is Vantage, because he's just going through this bit now. This used to be a double hairpin. A right hairpin, followed by a left hairpin, and then through back towards into the oval section of this wonderful racetrack. And then into the final part of the circuit, this chicane wasn't really there. You used to just go through the oval part, which I think for any motorsport fan, it must feel delightful. Although, having said that, we did have those infamous events in 2004 and 2005 where Ralf Schumacher lost control of the car due to a tyre issue, a Michelin tyre issue. It set him, or it put him out of the next 6 races. And then the following year, when he returned as a Toyota driver, he suffered the same fate, although not as dramatic as what it was in 2004 when he was in the Williams. It really, really, set the storm really for what was a really barren weekend for Formula 1 in 2005 at Indianapolis, where the Michelin tyre teams withdrew at the end of the formation lap, leaving the 6 Bridgestone tyre runners, the 2 Ferraris, the 2 Jordans and the 2 Minardis to race against each other all the way to the checkered flag. A 73-lap race just involving those 6 cars, remaining one of the most infamous races in Formula 1's illustrious history. Vance is doing a good job there in the number 46 Audi. Similar colour scheme to what the great Valentino Rossi was riding with during his days in MotoGP. So 15 corners on this configuration of the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Got just over 4 minutes remaining, so still some time for the drivers to improve on their times and get some more mileage in. Vantage in 6th place at the moment, Ryan 5th. Brucker is in 4th place in the Aston Martin. There's a car ahead of him there. I think that's Cablo, who has just gone a little bit off track. I'm not sure Brucker would have liked that, to be honest with you. He's through no problem. And just for your information, we will not be using the onboard cameras because I'm not able to switch cameras in terms of different point of view. You can switch to different drivers, but not quite switching from the onboard to a TV or a helicam. We had this issue last week in Austin. We had to come out of it, pause the broadcast, get back into the lobby and then resume the broadcast from there. Of course, the Indianapolis circuit is mostly remembered for its annual Indy 500 event, part of the IndyCar series. Completed its 106th run-in this year. That was won by the former Caterham and Sauber Formula 1 driver, Marcus Ericsson. First time he's won this prestigious event. Helio Castroneves has the joint most Indy 500 wins. Al Unser Sr. is another one, as is AJ Foyt and Rick Mears. Helio Castroneves winning his 4th Indy 500 in 2021. Vantage has gone up to 2nd place in the Audi. This is a very encouraging sign from Vantage. I think a lot of drivers are favouring this racetrack. They definitely like it a lot. Last week in Austin, it was an all-wet affair, which most of the drivers absolutely hated. But I think the fact that it's looking as though it's going to be a dry event all the way through. There is clouds gathering over this racetrack, it looks as though the rain is going to avoid the circuit, which I think is good news for all of us. So the Indianapolis Motor Speedway is located in the state of Indiana. Towards the east coast of the United States of America. I think it's close to where... Oh, I'm not saying it's almost close to where New York is, but... looking to see on the map whereabouts it is. So it's northwest of Cincinnati. Yeah, if you go further east past Ohio, and then you're heading towards Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, and New York. So it's towards the east coast of the US is Indianapolis Motor Speedway. We've got 20 drivers in the lobby. We're into the last 10 seconds now. Can Vantage improve on his lap time? I think there may have been a little bit of a desync in the clock there as Vantage pulls over to the side. I don't know if he's out of fuel or something, but he's coming back into the pit lane. Anyway, Nez has also stopped out on circuit. Yaki's done his lap time, 11th quickest so far for him. And Jack Davison, he is another one who struggled last week. He didn't get very far in the race in Austin, but he's hoping for better luck here. I think he's in the right tier. He's definitely in the right grid of drivers for him to be competing against. He's gone way too far off the racetrack there, and that'll be him off into the pit lane for sure. Cablo, who also struggled in Austin, he had too many spins during the course of that race, but still finished down in 11th position. He's competed in every race so far this season. He's one of only 4 drivers to have done so. The others being McKenzie, Ryan and Cord. Well, practice is done. Now on to the qualifying session. We've got 20 drivers in the lobby. We are hoping for the remaining few drivers to come in. As Cablo makes his way out, we've also got what looks like Vantage in the lime green and black Audi, but it's not. It's Nez who's got a similar livery to him. So it may look a little bit confusing, but they've got different sponsorships on their cars, which will make it a little bit easier for us to recognise. Well, Nez is in the 242. Vantage is in the 46. So plenty of drivers making their way out on track now. It's very dark here in Indianapolis. I'm sure the drivers will cope with it fine. I personally am not a fan of the time of the sessions being held in the dark. I think it just makes it way too difficult to see where everything is, especially for a spectator. I'd imagine some of these drivers will just give each other a little bit of space. Now, Nez isn't doing anything wrong here, but the likes of Cablo and I think Facco is behind this lot. So they need to try and make sure they back off a little bit before they do end up starting the lap. Otherwise they're going to hold each other up, and that's not ideal. I think the desperate to just get some laps in, but surely they want to be slowing down before they get going. As Davison leaves the pits now, so we've got all 20 drivers out on track. As Nez comes through to start his first time run. Now he needs to be careful because he's got drivers coming up to pass him here. He slows down before turn 1. You can see the pit exit is leading the driver to the exit of turn 1 so they don't feed out into the path of the other drivers who are coming through on the racing line. There's making his way through turn 6. And this is where the sector 1 time beam is. And this is going through turn 8 now. Nailing the apex rather nicely. -13 air temperature, 13 degrees track temperature, and the track condition says that it's fast. So it was green earlier, that's been changed to fast, and I wouldn't be at all surprised if that becomes even quicker before the end of this session. So Nez is heading over the line now. 1:37 is what he ideally should be going for. I think he cut one of the corners during the course of that lap, so he'll need to go again. Facco posts the first time, which is a 1:41. Ryan beats that by some way with a 1:38.8. Jay Brooker going to the top with a 1:38.3, so he is up the order. Vantage displaces him with a 1:38.1. Don't be at all surprised to see the lap times come tumbling down as the session progresses. We've got more drivers in the background heading over the line now. Darrows goes 4th fastest with what looks like a 1:39.0, so he can definitely improve on that. He has got traffic in front of him, so that might have hindered him a little bit. Prentice goes 5th, a long way off the pace in comparison to where we expected him to be. Cord made a mistake at turn 1 and continued, hence why his lap time's not so representative. And we've got a few other cars heading over the line now. I wonder who's gone over that. So Frank has gone 3rd on a 1:38.4 in the 321 BMW. Got the 777 of Mackenzie. He's one of the drivers to look out for during the course of tonight. As far as the championship is concerned, 1:38.2 for him. We had the 393 go through, which was MPL. No lap time there, so his lap time must have invalidated during the course of that. Nez is coming through for the second time. Is this going to be a valid lap that will move him ideally in the top 5 to give himself the best chance possible for later? He goes 8th, 2 seconds off the pace. What about those further behind? Well, I can tell you Ryan's gone 2nd with 1:38.2. Who else is improving at the moment? Well, I can see Jack Davis has gone to 11th so far. Cablo has gone 7th, displacing Prentice, but I would expect Prentice, last week's pole sitter at the Circuit of the Americas, to go a lot quicker than he did so last time. Passion Instinct going 7th, less than a second off the pace. Prentice goes fastest, 1:37.9. So the first driver in qualifying to get into the 1:37s. Now, what will the others do in response to it? Vantage is 2nd with a 1:38.1, and Liam Knott, who we know has had connection issues in recent races on Taco Tuesday, he's 3rd fastest with a 1:38.1. So he's finding time as well in the Porsche. Just over 4:10 separating the top 8 so far. Amazing stuff. Facetich has yet to get a lap time on the board, as has Yaki. MPL gets his first time on the board and goes 14th quickest in the 393 BMW. There is Mike, who's running a different livery to what we've seen from him in recent races. He used to be sort of like a predominantly white livery with a little bit of black as well, but he's sort of changed that to a maroon stroke gold livery on that Ferrari. Now Nez has gone through, he's only 12th, and Ryan goes 2nd now, less than 7 hundredths off the pace to the provisional pole sitter, Prentice. He pulls to the side. He must be out of fuel, so he'll be back in straight away. We've got Frank, who is on circuit. Don't know if he's on a lap. Brooker, who is 7th. He's aiming for higher. Daru is about to go over the line now. He goes to the top by some way as well. Over 3.5 tenths faster than what Vantage has posted. He's just gone ahead of Prentice for a moment, but Prentice has gone back to provisional pole with a 1:37.4. So the track is definitely getting quicker. I did say don't be surprised to see the lap times come tumbling down as we speak. Frank is coming up behind Mike, is about to post his first time of the session by the looks of it. Oh, it's not a lap time. Frank goes third fastest now though with a 1:37.6. How are the others getting on? I think Yaki's gone over the line, but he hasn't got a time on the board yet. Phase Stitch has not got a time on the board either. And he has got a time on the board, but he's over 7 seconds off the pace, so he needs to go again. Does Stitch. And Grills, who we haven't seen for some time in this tier on Taco Tuesday. He's only made 3 appearances. He wasn't in for the last 2. He was in at Solder. He rage quit at Brands Hatch, which he got into trouble for, as rage quitting is against the rules in the FRL. And he didn't finish, well, he finished 10th, I should say, at the opening round at Imola. So we're not stopping out on circuit there. We've seen number 30 go over the line. That's Jack Davison, who's managed to improve a little bit up to 15. So that's not a bad effort from Jack. Still has work to do from there. Yaki's still yet to get a time on the board, as is Mike. We've got the 1:39 going over the line. That's Gio. It could be one of the surprises of tonight. Mackenzie, who's currently 7th fastest, he needs an improvement on this lap with just over 5 minutes remaining. Does he improve his time? He does not. He stays in P7. Mike gets his first time on the board with a 1:43.6. That moves him up, and we just saw Yaki go over the line with his first time on the board, so all 20 drivers have got a lap time on the board so far. I'm just looking to see who's actually missing, because I thought we were going to get 23 drivers involved tonight. We only have 20 at the moment. Just looking to see who is not around this evening. Well, Akudama is not in. He's the only reserve missing. The 2 drivers, the 2 full-time drivers who we've got missing are Gate Crusher and Pedro. So just looking to see maybe some reasons as to why that might be. And Pedro's having to drop out because of personal circumstances, so we hope to see him back for next week in Watkins Glen. As for Gate Crusher, I'm not sure that he's actually come out with anything, to be honest with you. Because he did check in to say he was going to race, and then all of a sudden he just hasn't. And Prentice does not improve on his time from before. Is there anyone else improving? Frank doesn't quite improve. We've got the 16 going over the line. That's Liam Knott. Doesn't improve either. Not really seeing any improvements at the moment, and I think the reason why is because they're all on a new set of tyres and they're burning off fuel as they're doing each lap. So I think it's going to be pretty much right at the end of the session where we are going to see improvements all round. We've got the number 15 coming through. Or is it the number 16? I'm just having a look to see. No, it's the number 15. Phase Stitch. Fits the wall as he comes towards the line. He does not improve on his time. Ryan goes up to 4th place though. A 10th behind the pole sitter of Prentice. But he's ahead of his title rivals, Mackenzie and Cord, who is down in 12th place at the moment. He's got a lot of work to do from where he is. Nearly 2 seconds off the pace with over 2 minutes remaining. So I would say he's got 2 more opportunities to get up the order, as he needs to get right in there. Here is Vantage, who's coming up behind Mike actually, so I think he's not going to quite improve on this lap. And Prentice goes over the line. Is this an improvement from before? The answer is no. McKenzie in the background is coming through by the looks of it. He improves his time, but stays in P6. And we've got the 16 coming over the line. That's Liam Knott. Does he improve on his time from before? The answer is no. I think Cord's moved up to 11th place now, but he needs to find more than what he's already found. Here's Brooker. Is this an improvement on before? The answer is no. Phase Stitch is coming through. See Mike improve his lap time. He was about 6 seconds off the pace. He's now only 4.5 seconds off the pace. Still a long way off from where he wants to be at the present moment. And Phase Stitch just running wide there through turn 15. And this lap time does not move him up the order, and he stays where he is. We've got the 2-1-2 of Daru next. He does not quite go into provisional pole, but he's got one more chance to do so. Caballé going over the line. He's still in 15th place. We just saw a change in the order there. Nez going up to 11th position in the Honda. Got the 4-3-3 by the looks of it. That's just coming through. If we can pick it up, that'll be Prentice actually. Is this going to be an improvement on his pole position time? Not quite so. He's got one more go at it. We've got the 16 coming through next. That's Liam Knott. He'll get another lap in. Does he improve this time around? He does, but only stays in 7th place. It was an improvement in lap time. We see Yaki go over the line. He doesn't improve, so he remains 18th. He'll be disappointed with that. The 33 is next up. That is Mike, who's really struggling to get through turn 14. He ran way too quickly through that section, and I doubt that we're going to see him improve his lap time here. So it doesn't look as though too many other drivers are improving their lap times. Mike stays 19th. Caballé is coming through in the Bentley. He could do with moving up the order. And he does not move up the order, so he remains in P15. Here is Nez on his last time effort. Nearly 1.5 seconds off the pace. He's got 6/10 to make up on the next driver ahead of him. He improves his lap time a little bit, but not enough to move him up the order, unfortunately. Passion Instinct doesn't improve his time. He stays where he is. And it looks like Faco's moved up the order a little bit to 12th place, so that's a good end to the session for him. Got the 4-3-3 of Prentice, who will want to be sure of his pole position. And he improves his lap time, and he is ahead by nearly 0.2 of a second. So for the second week running, Prentice is on pole position in Tier 3 in Taco Tuesday, with Daru in P2 alongside him, with Vantage and Ryan next up on the second row. We've got Frank and Mackenzie in 5th and 6th places, Knott improving to 7th place. That's a good effort from him, with Brooker in 8th on the 4th row next to him. Gio and Passion Instinct, 2 of the reserves tonight, in 9th and 10th. Nez and Faco make up the 6th row ahead of Grills and Cord. Cablo and MPL are next, followed by Davidson and Yaki, with Mike and Stitch rounding out the 20 drivers for tonight. Well, it doesn't look as though that Gatecrasher is going to be in time, and neither will Akadama. So it is the grid for this evening. It's better than what it was last week and the week before, where we had wet races which were very difficult for the drivers to handle, in all honesty. Just a few minutes away from the start of the formation lap. We'll see the drivers on the grid and we'll be ready to go for the start of this race. 60 minutes, including a mandatory tyre pit stop. You can say that any time you like, but you must do it before the end of the race. Otherwise, it will be a disqualification. And Vantage saying was 6 tenths up and me and Brooker collided. Well, that's very interesting. So had Vantage stayed out of trouble there, that would have been him on pole. So he may decide to take that to the stewards later on, if he ever so wishes to do. The stewards can get involved and dish out penalties should they need to. Not that they really want to, but I'm sure there'll be some drivers who will have some complaints about some of the activity involving them on circuit. So the Indianapolis Motor Speedway first opened in 1909, a couple of years before it hosted its very first Indianapolis 500. One of the oldest events in motorsport history. I think the Isle of Man TT is one of the very few motor racing events that is still around. That started sooner than that. It started in 1907. But the Indy 500 started in 1911. And of course, numerous changes have been made to the circuit at the intersection. Of course, it was part of the Formula 1 calendar on 19 occasions. It used the Indy 500 as a Formula 1 World Championship event from 1950 to 60. And the next time Formula 1 raced there was not until 2000. And they raced on the intersection of the circuit, which is very similar to what these drivers are going to be racing each other on this evening. So Prentice, can he convert that pole position into the victory this time? He's got a good chance to do so. It'll be very close, I would say. It's going to be a very close race, I think. Definitely for the race Whitton. We saw the gap in qualifying earlier. If we go to the timetable, we can have a look at the qualifying times. You can see that 4:10 separating the top 5. Quite incredible, actually. It's one of the closest we've seen all season, if I'm honest with you. And then you can see, look at the midfield, how close it is between Brooker in 8th, and then obviously pushing into 10th place. And then you look at further down the field, and obviously Mike and Stitch are in a battle of their own, really. But racing is racing, you don't give up in this thing. As far as the point system is concerned, for the PS5 drivers, which they can have up to 30 drivers in a lobby, or 29, if there is a commentator on board or a spectator. 40 points for the race winner, 38 for second, and it's a 2 points difference between each position up until 11th place. You would get 20 points, and then it's a 1 point difference between each position from there all the way to 30th, you get 1 point. But since we've got only 20 drivers, if all of them do finish, they'll score at least 11 points. I'm sure they'll want a little bit more than that. A point is also on offer for the driver that is on pole position, which will be Prentice, which is his second one this season. And around about 20 seconds to go before the start of the formation lap. It looks like everyone is going to be starting the race via a rolling start. None of them starting from the pit lane. Who is your money on for the victory? How will this championship be affected on what we see this evening? And off they go for the start of the formation lap. And it'll be another 3 or 4 minutes, I would say, before we go green. So we've got some time to sort of run through a few more history bits about the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Looking at all the events that they do, as well as what they've done in the past. It obviously hosts the IndyCar Series, the Indianapolis 500, and the GMR Grand Prix, which has been going on since 2014, as well as the Gallagher Grand Prix, that's been going on since 2020. It's been hosting the NASCAR Cup Series, it's done the Verizon 200 since last year, and before that it was the Brickyard 400. The Intercontinental GT Challenge, they've been doing the Indianapolis 8 Hours since 2020. There's the Indy Lights, which I think it's now known as something else, actually. I've forgotten the NXT, I think it's called. It used to be called Indy Lights, but now it's called Indy NXT. We saw the announcement of Jamie Chadwick joining the series with a particular team in that, so the best of luck to her. There's the GT World Challenge America that they've done. The future, they'll be having the American Sports Car Championship, the IMSA, racing there in 2023. And of course Formula 1. They've also done the Indianapolis Motorcycle GP from 2008 to 2015. And of course it hosted the Porsche Super Cup. That was on the Formula 1 support bill when Formula 1 was racing at the Brickyard back then. So the leaders, or the grid, are just going through turns 12. They'll form up in rows. Of course, Indianapolis has hosted the International Race of Champions from 1998 to 2003. How brilliant would it be for Formula 1 to race back at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway? What do you think the odds are of that happening in the near future? Maybe within the next 10 years, perhaps? Given that Formula 1 is going to be racing at 3 different venues in the US in 2023. Beginning at Miami in May, Austin in October, and Las Vegas in November. But the green flag is waving and we are ready to go at Indianapolis. Prentice will have the inside line into turn 1. What will Daru do? Watch for advantage. Will he make a move into turn 1? Here we go, Lendler. Prentice on the outside, on the inside, sorry, but Daru has gone too deep into turn 1, and that might open the door for advantage to pull alongside, but Daru keeps his nerve and holds his position ahead of him. There's contact over back. McKenzie has spun. He's hit multiple drivers at the back, and there's damage to the front of that Lexus. He's collected another car as he rejoins. Terrible, terrible start for one of the championship contenders at turn 2, so McKenzie will be off into the pit lane at the end of the first lap. Prentice leads then ahead of Daru in the Porsche, followed by Vantage in the Audi, so the top 3 are the same as what they were on the grid. Ryan, it looks as though, is in 4th place as the drivers make their way through turns 6 and 7, using a little bit of that runoff area that they keep on using. You don't get penalised for some reason for using that. But Prentice in front with Daru ahead of Vantage. Frank is up there in 4th place. Ryan has had a terrible start though. He started 4th on the grid. He's down in 7th place. But at least he's not in the same state as what his championship rival McKenzie has been through at the start. Liam Knott is in 5th ahead of Jay Brook, and it's Ryan, Nez, Facco who's made up ground there in 9th, and Passion Instant is in the top 10 at the moment in the Audi. I wonder how many drivers will be in the pits at the end of the first lap. So there's Prentice on a charge so far as he completes the first lap in the lead. We've just seen a little bit of action going on further. There's one of the Ferraris tussling it out there. That's Facco, who's just ahead of Cord, who's made up a little bit of ground. He's going for the move though into turn 1. This is an important move for him to get done. He's going way too deep, and he's made contact with Nez as he made the pass on Facco, and he's off the track. So the championship contenders seem to be leaving their braking far too late down into turn 1. So Cord is another driver to go backwards. This is all playing into Ryan's hands at the moment, even though his start hasn't been particularly good. But at least he's in a far better position in this one than his two championship rivals are. And there's Prentice still in the lead. We're looking at Daru, who's gone in too deep there into turn 8. Will Vantage take advantage of the mistake? He couldn't quite do so, and he stays behind the Porsche in 3rd position. And now they come out of the intersection back onto the oval. Vantage, we know he's not going to be he's not in the championship hunt. He'll most certainly want to make up for the misfortunes that he has had so far this season. He's had connection issues that's prevented him from starting a couple of races. But now this is his golden opportunity to remedy that right now. Frank is in 4th position. I wouldn't say he's in the championship chase at the moment, but with Cord and McKenzie way down the order at the moment, he could well be taking points out of them by the end of this race. Going into tonight's race, McKenzie and Ryan were just 1 point off each other, really, with McKenzie ahead. But as it stands, Ryan will be leading the championship, as long as he finishes the race, of course, because Darskell is still the championship leader before, or was the championship leader before this race had begun, but that's not going to be the case should the likes of Ryan, Cord and McKenzie make it to the check flag. McKenzie is in to get some repairs done, so he's going to have lost time, but at least he'll get his mandatory pit stop done and out of the way now that the pit window is open. So after 2 laps, McKenzie is in. McKenzie had an awful time of it in Austin. He came in for repairs at the end of lap 1 or 2, but it didn't count as his mandatory pit stop, and the reason why is because he didn't change his tyres when he did his stop, and he got to the end of the race and he didn't stop again, and therefore a time penalty cost him 4th place, and he dropped to 5th as a result of it. And not only did he lost 2 points, he also allowed Ryan to gain 2 points as a result of it. So it was a 4-point swing as a result of McKenzie's penalty. The drivers are completing the end of lap 3, and as you can see, Frank is pulling into the slipstream now of the Audi of Vantage. Frank has had a better time of it here. He'll want to keep going, but he needs to make sure he does not take too many risks here. It's still early days in the race. No need to risk anything into turn 1. Frank has gone into the race tonight 87 points off the championship lead, off Darskell. So if he can finish ahead of Ryan and maybe get on the podium here, he still leaves himself with a slim chance of the championship with 2 races to go, beginning at Watkins Glen in 7 days' time. As Prentice leads Daru, the gap is just over a second as they go through turn 7. Vantage in the lime green and black liveried Audi ahead of the 321 BMW of Frank. Liam Knott keeping up in 5th place. He's got Ryan behind him. Ryan knows that he'll lead the championship as it stands. They want to take more points out of the battle between him, Cord and McKenzie. We see a move there. There was contact between Facco and Nez as they went through turn 8, and Nez has lost another couple of positions as a result of that, so he will not be very happy at all. He'll be very desperate to get that back. As you can see, he's trying to make a move around the outside there of Grills in the BMW. Nez down to 11th position. And you can see Facco trying to fend off from Passion Instance. He's making his debut this evening. And Cablo has dropped down the order. He's down to 16th place behind Cord. I can tell you that McKenzie is closing up now on the back of Mike and Stitch, so he should be able to dispose of them very quickly. We see Passion going for the move, approaching turn 1, and this is going to be a change of position. Instant up the inside, no contact made. Will Grills take advantage of the open door? He makes contact with Facco, and Facco spins around. They continue making contact, and Nez is off into the barrier on the exit of turn 2. A horrible lap for Nez, and he could well be out of the race now after that. He's still in the race on track, but he'll lost, and Facco's off the racetrack in the gravel trap there at turn number 4. So Facco surely has picked up damage after the collisions there. It was a really clumsy chain of events. I think Nez has come off worse after all that. But Facco down to 17th place now. As we watch Mike go for a spin, and that allows Mackenzie through and up into 19th place. So Mackenzie on a fight back. Next man ahead of him is Stitch, who I personally think won't put up too much of a fight, as he knows that Mackenzie's not part of his race. I want to go back to the battle for the lead because Daru is closing in again on Prentice. It's less than a second. We see a clout with the wall there from Ryan in the background. Or was that Frank? I think it might have been Ryan who had hit the wall as he came onto the pit straight behind. No, that's not going to quite help his chances in overtaking him. There's Passion there on his own there in 8th place with Grills and Yaki, who's coming up the field nicely in 10th place, as is Davidson in the Audi. With Gio a little bit further back, but at least he hasn't been involved in too many action. And Cord is in the pits to get his monetary stop out of the way, as is Nez there in 15th place. So both of them getting their monetary stops done now. And Mackenzie is through on Stitch by the looks of it. It hasn't quite updated the leaderboard as he went over the line, but I'm sure it will do so by the time he's gone through the next sector. So the battle for the race win is very much on now. Prentice doing a superb job so far ahead of Daru, but will it remain that way? The pit stops could well decide it. And they're coming up to Lap, Cord and Nez, who are in the pits at the moment. Cord has exited his box now. Nez should do so very shortly, although he had to come in for repairs, whereas Cord didn't look as though he needed to get any repairs done, so that's why Nez is in the pit box longer than Cord. Cord rejoins the race in 19th position. And for some reason, Mackenzie is not updated on the screens for some reason. I don't know whether there's a little bit of a glitch where maybe he made a shortcut somewhere and it didn't quite count the lap. As you can see, he's run too deep into turn 13 and it's cost him time. Nez has been in there for a long time now. But he's exited his box. And Mackenzie will go through ahead of him, but Nez is now a lap down on the entire field. So Daru keeping Prentice honest. Vantage in 3rd ahead of Frank. And Ryan is through ahead of Brooker because Liam Knott, I think, went off the track somewhere and he's down to 8th place. So Ryan gaining another 2 positions, or 2 points I should say, towards the championship. It's a dream scenario so far for him. If he comes away with the championship lead after this race, he could clinch it in Watkins Glen next week. Ryan goes up to 5th, or he's in 5th place, sorry, at the moment. Brooker is in 6th, so top 5 finish could still well be on. As we watch Liam not come through. And he's got... I'm just looking to see who's that ahead of him there. I think that may well be Cord, who's a lap behind him. So Cord trying to unlap himself from the Porsche. As we see the 84 of Cablo in the barrier on the exit of turn 12. Oh, be careful, Cablo. And there's almost having to take evasive action, but luckily it's a wide part of the racetrack. So Cablo rejoins the race, struggling to get the car slowed down, and he'll be off into the pit lane to get repairs done, I should think. Oh no, he's staying out there for another lap by the looks of it. Oh no, he has decided to come in. I don't know why he didn't do that, because the pit entry is just where on the outside of turn 14 is. Yeah, I think it's safe to say there's some repairs needing to be done on that Bentley. So Prentice crossing over the line to complete his 8th lap, and his lead is currently just under 0.8 of a second. There's your top 4 in your picture, all in the hunt for victory. Ryan's a little bit further back in 5th place, but at least he's got some clear air and time to make up on Frank. And Brooker is in 6th place, as we watch Cord, who should move in front of Cablo. He's trying to unlap himself still from Liam in the Porsche. Will Cord go for it into turn 1? The answer is no. Thought about it, but thought better of it. As we watch Darby, he makes a mistake into turn 13. He's off the track. And that's not going to help him at all. He thought about maybe going to the pit lane, but now that's given Vantage an opportunity to close in now in the fight for 2nd place. And Cablo and Nez are in the pits, so Nez back in the pits. And I think that could well be his race run, to be honest with you, because he's so far behind the rest of the pack. He may feel that it's not worth continuing, but if you finish the race, you do actually score points no matter where you finish. Frank in 4th place still, Ryan in 5th, Brooker 6th, Russian Instinct and Knots are in 7th and 8th, Grills 9th, and Davison in 10th place in the Audi. Francis, a good buffer. You can see how hard Vantage is pushing though through the far chicane. Trying to put Daru under pressure again. He hasn't had the best of laps last time. He was able to get through there safely this time. One wide on the exit there, that's not going to help his exit speed at all. And Vantage is going to close in. It was 1.4 seconds at the end of the previous sector. The gap now is 9/10. The field's settling down at the moment. There's Yucky in 13th place. The Dutchman going well. And looking at the battle for the teams championship as well, the Dasmanus Racing team were doing very, very well at the beginning of the season, who they are now seen to be out of it. The battle is going to be very much on, I would say, between SBR T3 and Finnef Oldies The gap was 24 points between those two in SBR T3's favour. That's the team with Ryan and Cablo. Cord and Yako are involved in the Finif Oldies team. As it stands, with Ryan in 5th place and Cablo way down in 19th. I think as it stands, they are going to close in. I'm not sure if it's going to be enough for them to overtake them for the lead in the team's championship in Tier 3. And Prentice is continuing to pull away from Daru. The gap over 3 seconds. Approaching the end of lap 11. I did give a prediction in terms of how many laps we're going to get in. I did say 39, but it may well be 38. We'll see. And Nez hasn't rejoined the racetrack for some time now, so I think it's safe to say that that is his race done for this evening. It's a huge shame because he was running really well before he got caught up in a couple of drivers' collisions. And there's Mackenzie. It's showing on the timetable. If we go to the timetable, it actually shows he is. It says he's 2 laps behind, but that's because he's still yet to cross over the line. But it's showing that he's a lap down on the leader, which I'm struggling to agree with. If that's the case, then there's no chance of him of getting a quality finish out of this. I mean, there's still a long way to go yet, but he's well and truly out of sync. He's already made his mandatory pit stop, unlike most of the field, so he's still got a chance of clawing his way back. As we can see, Princess coming up behind one of the back markers. I think that's FaZe Stitch in the number 15 BMW, moving out of the way. He needs to do so for Daru and Vantage very shortly. Got a bit of ground to make up, so I think he's okay for that. But he's gone straight on there, has Stitch. He's made absolutely no attempt to make the corner. I think he just realised that there was no shortcut of making his way through there, so he's just coming back on track now. He just needs to do so in a safe manner. So far, so good for Prentice, but will it remain that way at the end of the race? Top 5 in your picture with a genuine chance for a race win. Daru is the only driver out of these 5. Oh no, Frank is in there. So we've got 2 out of the 5 in the top 5 have won a race this season. All the others have been won by Darskell, who's no longer involved in this tier. He's made the switch to PC. We are a third of the way through, 2/3 still to go. Prentice has completed 12 laps in this race so far. I'm leaning more towards the fact we are going to get a 38 lap race, working out in terms of the clock. Having said that, the drivers are burning off their fuel. I would imagine that most of them will have put some fuel in for the first stint and then put some more in at the end, so it saves some weight being put on the car, which will obviously make the car go slower. Here's Daru in second place. Vantage still there, as is Frank. Ryan's a little bit further behind, but he's not out of the frame of it. We had the number 15 of FaZe Stitch coming in. He's done his stop now, so he's exiting the pits, and he'll rejoin in what looks like 18th position for him. Cavallo's a long way back after he needed to come in for repairs. 3.5 seconds is the gap between Prentice and Daru. Vantage with the fastest up of the race so far. And it's Frank and Ryan. Brooker in 6th. Passion in 7th with not 8th. And Cord is the highest of those who have already made a mandatory pit stop in 15th. He's a lap down on the leaders, but once they dual pit, who'll be back on the lead lap and challenging for a top 10 position at the end of the race itself. I'm just seeing the air temperature and the track temperature increase a little bit. I think that's going to help the tyres. Very cloudy here in the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, located in the state of Indiana. Located in the towards the northeast part of the US. There's Princess, who's coming up behind a back marker now, which is Mike, who's running currently in 14th place, but he's still yet to stop. And see Prentice just waiting for the time to make his move on Mike. Mike knows that he's not in his race, so he's not letting him through by the looks of it. Prentice looking though, he's trying to fight his way through, and Mike is not doing himself any favours whatsoever by holding him out, and that's not good enough really from Mike. He lets him through now, but he should have let him through a few corners earlier. And that's going to help Daru in the fight for the race victory. I think Mike has gone wide off the circuit. Now, has he rejoined safely back onto it? Well, I'll tell you what, Daru's gone off. Daru has lost second place to Vantage. So, Vantage has taken advantage of Daru's error. We saw Mike go wide. I think that might have put Daru off as he approached the corner. So, Vantage is doing to second place. What's Daru going to do now? Because he's got Frank right behind him. Mike is still getting in the way of the leaders. He needs to stay out of the way now, because otherwise he could be in a little bit of bother later on with the stewards for ignoring blue flags. He knows this is not his fight. And look at that. He's not even taken any notice of Daru's presence. He's held him up clearly on the pit straight. And this is affecting Daru's race. And he'll be absolutely furious with him afterwards. So Mike, not paying enough attention to the leaders going on past him. He lets them through now. But he should have been a lot more aware of their presence there. He didn't take enough notice of it. Daru went off the track, clearly off put by him, and he was nearly put into the wall by Mike entering the pit straight. Shocking driving standards, I have to say, personally. Faco's in the pits now. He will drop behind Gio and Cord, so at least that'll be another position that Cord will make up after he had to make that earlier pit stop earlier. He doesn't need to pit again before this race is over. And Yaki is in also. He's had a fairly, let's just say, tidy race so far. Nothing special, but I think he'll just want to make sure he bags as many points as possible in regards to the team's championship, because remember, both him and Cord are on the same team, the Finnith Oldies team. 24 points off in the team standings behind SBR T3 in the fight for that particular championship. Now we're seeing Prentice, and I think Daru's got back ahead of Vantage now. We didn't see where Vantage had gone off, but Daru, all of a sudden, is now back into second place. And this is helping Prentice a lot, because with Daru going off early and Vantage going through, Vantage has done the same thing. And Prentice is now 7 seconds clear of the battle for second place, because this is now a 3-car battle for P2, and Ryan could well be getting in on the act here as well. And Frank, as he watches Vantage run wide there on the exit of turn 7, Frank knows he needs to take every opportunity possible. Daru touching the grass as he entered turn 8, but no harm done. Prentice on lap 17, leading by over 7 seconds in this battle for P2. This is a brilliant battle to watch, I have to say. Now, when will any of them pit in for their mandatory stop? Well, Frank hasn't done so. Ryan hasn't done so. We could well see a temporary leader, should Prentice be one of those coming in first out of the leaders. In the lead, rather comfortably, definitely more comfortably now than he was so a couple of laps ago. So Mackenzie, who had to make that earlier stop, is currently in 17th place, just 5 seconds behind Facco on the timing screen. So he's doing a reasonable job. You can see he's got a little bit of damage though to the car there. He's clearly scraped it somewhere. This is hurting his championship hopes a lot now, actually, is Mackenzie. We saw someone come into the pits there. I couldn't recognise who that was. It's the 393 of MPL who's coming in for his only stop of the race. So Daru closing back in a little bit on Prentice. It's now 6.8 seconds. Advantage right behind him now. Looking to get that second place back. We're coming up to the halfway point in this race here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, as I think Daru is in the pit lane, so is Vantage. Frank stays out, Ryan comes in. So we've got 3 out of the 4 drivers battling for second into the pits at the same time. So this is Frank's opportunity to put in some red hot laps in. There's Brooker in P6 ahead of Passioninson and Liam Knott. I think 6th is the highest these drivers are going to be hoping for, unless anything happens to the leaders up ahead. So halfway through this one now. Daru, Vantage and Ryan are still in their boxes at the moment. Wills will go past him. Davidson should go past him as well. Or past them, I should say. He's coming up to lap what looks like Cord, who's running in 13th position. No, it's not Cord, it's Yaki, who's actually a lap behind him. So Yaki just needs to make sure he doesn't ignore the blue flags too much. Now, Daru, Vantage and Ryan have exited their stops and will rejoin in 8th, 9th and 10th. Prentice stays out for now though. He can afford to do so. Got a lot of clear track ahead of him. It's just like Ryan. We've got the 242 in the pits. That's Nez actually, so he's already out of this one. He's way too far back to continue. Frank comes in from P2. So Will staying out an extra lap. I've helped him in his quest to snatch second place from Daru and Vantage. They have just gone through turn 7. And they're coming towards turn 8 now. So how is Frank getting on? Well, he's in his box now. Passion Instinct and Liam Knott are also in. Grills stays out. I think Davidson is going to be staying out as well. So dropping it on the exit of turn 14 there, Davidson's, but he continues on. Frank waiting for his tyres to have changed. Daru and Vantage are coming into turns 13 and 14 now. Frank has not left his box yet. I'll let you know when he has done so. Frank still in his box at the moment, but he's done his stop now. He's left his box, but he's way too far behind. Daru and Vantage have just gone past him, and Frank is still having to adhere to the pit lane speed limit. He's going to lose a horrible amount of time. He'll probably lose effectively 4th position to Ryan. He has done. So Frank has lost a position in his quest to snatch second from Daru and Vantage. Not good news for the race winner at Brands Hatch. So we've got the race lead in the pits now. So Princess is in, and Brooker is going to lead the race in the Aston Martin. So for Kane Brooker, the man who had joined in the live chat earlier, is going to see his number 1 driver come through and lead the race for at least a lap before he needs to come in for his mandatory pit stop. Grills and Davidson will go past him as well, although Prentice has just exited his stop now. And a twist to the tail because Vantage has been given a drive-through penalty for exceeding track limits. So his net 3rd position is going to drop him down the order, and that's really bad news after a brilliant race from him so far, and he's going to be off the podium now as a result of his drive-through penalty that he decides to get done and out of the way as he slowed down to that pit lane speed limit. Well, Prentice rejoins in what looks to be 3rd position now. There was just a desync there, or a connection issue. He's well and truly clear ahead of Daru. The gap may be a little bit smaller than what it was before, but Prentice is still in the lead and on course for a race victory here at Indianapolis. Ryan will move up into 3rd place now, and Frank will move up to 4th. Vantage should rejoin in 5th position effectively once the pit stops have all been completed. As we watch Grills, is that, I think that's Cord who tried to unlap himself from him. I think Grills has just gone into the pit lane now, so Cord will unlap himself from him. He's done a very good recovery here. He's about to go past Davison here and up into 10th place. About 20 seconds away from Mike, who is still yet to stop in this race. So Brooker also in the Aston Martin. Prentice will take back the lead of the race. So Daru will go through back into 2nd. Ryan will go back through into 3rd place. And Frank should be in 4th unless Brooker can make the most outstanding of pit stops. He's leaving his box now. And another penalty has been dished out, this time to Jack Davison. A drive-through penalty for speeding in the pit lane. So he'll be back in the pits very shortly. But that's good news for McKenzie, actually, because he will gain a position once Davison makes his drive through the pits. So I think Frank has gone through ahead of Brooker. So Brooker's not going to be too far back from Frank. He's definitely going to rejoin ahead of Vantage because Vantage is only just coming onto the pit straight now, and Brooker is just leaving the pits. His pit lane speed limiter is deactivated. He's going to go through turn 1, and he'll keep hold of what effectively will be 5th position. And Vantage runs wide again. Don't exceed track limits anymore now. The last thing you want is another penalty. There's Liam Knott, who I think has just gone past him now as well. So Vantage's error. He was battling with Mike. Mike was able to battle with him legally. And Barnes has just run wide again. He's lost the position to Knott. So Barnes is having a nightmare last few laps. He's in 7th place now, but he's lost far too much time running wide, exceeding track limits too many times. As Davison makes his way back into the pit lane. 16th at the moment. As Gio completes what I believe is his second stop of the race, actually. I wonder if that might be his race over. Unless he decides to continue. Calvo's in 18th position there. He's just been lapped by what looks like Ryan going through. Mackenzie's in 13th position now, less than 3 seconds behind Yaki, who is also battling with MPL. So Mackenzie, I think he's got a genuine chance of finishing in the top 10. If he can get past Yaki, MPL and Grills, that would complete a brilliant fight back after a really disastrous beginning to the race. Mike is the only driver to have yet to make his mandatory pit stop, so that will move Mackenzie up another position. And Davidson's drive-through has been cleared as confirmation. Prentice now the fastest man on the circuit. 5.5 seconds clear of second place Daru. He was a long way ahead of Ryan, so Daru not needing to worry about Ryan or Vantage. Vantage down the order in 7th place. 21 minutes still to go. 23 laps completed. Here at the Brickyard. And I think Gio is out of the race now, if I'm honest with you. I don't think he's going to be rejoining the racetrack. I wonder why he came into the pits. I wonder if he picked up damage somewhere or perhaps wasn't quite feeling it. He is a reserve driver. One of 5 reserves in for tonight. And we've had 2 of the reserves having to drop out this one. Phase 6 running in 18th. Davison 16th. And Passion Instant 15th. So the top 14 drivers in this race are all full-time drivers. There's Mike. Still in 8th place, still yet to make his mandatory pit stop, running his own strategy. Can't blame him for that. And now he's got the, what looks like the Gulf Air livery McLaren right behind him. That'll be the number 30 Audi of Davidson. And Davidson's a lap behind him. Davidson, we know, has been running faster than Mike has done all race. I think when Mike comes into the pit lane, I would expect him to stay out for as long as he can before he needs to pit in for his change of tyres. Davison trying to unlap himself from the Ferrari. He wants to do it cleanly here. Mike does not have to let him by, as he's a lap ahead of him. But if Davison's going to avoid getting blue flags, he needs to pass Mike and pull away from him, which I think he's about to do now. Gap in the lead between Prentice and Daru. Just over 6 seconds. And Davison not able to get back through on Mike. It's a shame that Davison had that drive-through for speed in the pit lane, because he was on course for a fairly decent result. Unlike last week in the wet in Austin. And he's going to be into the slipstream to have a go on Mike. And Davison should be through, should be able to outbrake Mike into turn 1, and he goes through no problem. And there's Ryan in 3rd place. As it stands, he'll be the championship leader. Once Mike makes his pit stop, However soon it's going to be, we're not sure yet. We'll run through where this leaves the championship going into the last 2 races of the season in Watkins Glen and Laguna Seca. Mackenzie's closing in on Yaki now. The gap is less than a second now. You can tell as they go through sector 1. 7/10 it is. Now, Mackenzie hasn't got a lot of time left in this one, so he needs to get these moves done if he's going to get back into the top 10. And he's got a little bit of damage on the bonnet there, has Mackenzie, which is not ideal. The track at its optimum condition at the moment in terms of pace, so the drivers are making the most of it right now. Can Mackenzie get through on Yaki and make a move on the pit straight? Mike is finally in the Ferrari, so that will move Mackenzie up into 12th place, which could be 11th because he's about to pull alongside Yaki on the pit straight. Tucks back into the slipstream. You can see a blue flag in the background. That's not for him. He's gone through on Yaki, and that is him through into 11th position. I think Facco is being lapped by the race leader Prentice. So Facco down a lap now on the leader. And Cord is up into 9th position. So with the championship as it is now, with Ryan 3rd, Cord 9th and Mackenzie 11th, Mackenzie would get 20 points from this race, Cord would collect 24 and Ryan would collect 36. So Ryan would be ahead of Mackenzie by 15 points, and Cord would close in on Mackenzie by 4 points as well. So he would be 18 behind Mackenzie, but he would also be, he was 21 points behind Ryan at the beginning of the night, which will increase to 23. So no, 33 I should say. So Ryan will be in the lead in the championship. Mackenzie will be 2nd, and Cord will be 4th because Darskell will still be ahead of Cord, unless Cord can finish 4th or higher in this race to move up the order ahead of the Portuguese. Now Frank, who's in 4th place, he'll move in front of Facco in the fight for 5th position, and Cablo will drop down a position in the standings to Yako, who's in 13th place. Facco's moved ahead of him now, so Yako's losing ground a little bit. He's lost some time in the last lap or so, while Mackenzie's gaining ground on MPL in the fight for a top 10 place in here. So this is important for Mackenzie's championship hopes. Daru now just under 9 seconds behind. He's dropped back from Prentice now, so it looks as though Daru is settling for 2nd place in this race. You can see Mackenzie closing it all the time at MPL. MPL's line through the fast chicane wasn't particularly the best, and that's going to allow Mackenzie to tuck right up to the slipstream even before they get onto the pit straight, which will play into his hands a little bit. Comes out alongside so he doesn't get caught in the turbulent air of the BMW too much. He's up the inside. Will he go for it there? He thought about it. Mackenzie should get it done here. As they go onto the pit straight, I think Mackenzie's going to go past MPL and up into what is expected to be 10th place now, as the leader is coming up to lap them. So it's important that Mackenzie gets this job done now, really. before the leader comes up to them, and he's through. So Mackenzie up to 10th place after falling to the back earlier on. And PL stays out of the way of the leader, and Mackenzie will have to do the same unless he can pull away. He'll probably do it on the back straight. And just looking at what's going on further ahead. Well, there's Grills in 8th position. Knott is a long way up ahead of him. Vantage is back ahead of Knott now, so he's in 6th place. 3.5 seconds behind Brooker. This has no effect to the championship by any means, but it's still a nice battle going on nevertheless. 12 minutes to go into the final 20% of this race. Prentice on course for a well-deserved victory without a question of a doubt. Now as Mackenzie will stay in touch with the leader for when they come up behind Cord. And we see Facco is about to lose the position actually to Passion Instant. Daru's coming up behind these two, so just needs to be very careful. He gets through the pair without any form of incident whatsoever. And Facco should stay out of the way here. I think Davidson's just gone past Mike also, so Davison through up into 15th position ahead of the Ferrari. Cavalier a long way back in 17th place, and Stitch, the last of the 18 runners still going. Just the 2 retirements, Gio and Nez, not continuing. You can see a bit of polystyrene ball being kicked up by the drivers. It's off, well, I was going to say it's off the racetrack, but it keeps sort of bouncing back onto the racing line, it seems. Prentice struggling to get past their Cord, so he got held up a little bit there. He won't be too pleased with that. And Cord just needs to be very careful he doesn't. And I think we've had an issue because, well, Cord has just let Mackenzie through into 8th position. And what I was about to say was we've had a disconnection from Ryan, of all people. So Ryan has lost connection. That's going to have serious championship implications, because with Ryan not currently in the lobby, he has lost 3rd place in this race. And that's going to play into the hands of Mackenzie, who's just got past Cord. What an unbelievable development in this race. Cord is really struggling at the moment. He's just let him through MPL, and I think has Cord underfueled. He's struggling absolutely horribly here. So Ryan with issues due to connections, and it looks as though that Cord is gone for a spin. I wonder he may have a suspension issue, and Cord is losing ground big time. This is costing him points in regards to the championship. He cannot get the car points in the right way either. He is horribly, horribly struggling now. I hope Ryan can get back into the lobby in time. I wonder if Cord will come into the pits to get some repairs done, because this is not the time for him to be dawdling around by any means. He's already down to what is currently 14th position. Ryan's back in the lobby now, but he's well down the order from where he was earlier. There's no way he's going to be leading the championship after tonight now. No chance. Well, Prentice is on his own at the front. Daru even more comfortable there in 2nd place. As the 41 has gone off track. Who would that be? That's Cord. Yeah, he's continuing to struggle on the circuit. I think he needs to come into the pits to get some repairs done, because that car does not look like in a stable condition to continue. And if I was him, I'd stop running off track and actually just get into the pit lane and get repairs done, because this is ruining his race now. And he just cannot keep that car on the racetrack. And he needs to stop spinning and get into the pit lane, for goodness sake. He's continuing on, is Cord. Well, Ryan is still in the pits at the moment. Davidson's gone past him. Mike's gone past him. Is he going to be able to get back into the race, I wonder? Or could that be Ryan's race done? He might have done enough laps in order to be classified, but only just. Yeah, Cord just needs to take it easy through the corners now. He'll be hoping for the race to be over as soon as possible. He's got a long gap between him and Davidson, who's in 14th. So if Cord can stay where he is in 13th place, that'd still be enough for him to get 18 championship points. So with Mackenzie, the highest of the championship contenders in this race now, in 8th position. That would give him 26 points. That would move him on to 255. With Ryan out of the points, he's currently in 16th place. He's rejoining the race now. Cablo's gone ahead of him though, so he'll be down to 17th. So with Ryan rejoining in 17th place now, that would give him only 14 points, which will move on to 242. And with Cord in 13th position, he'll get 18 points, and then he'll go on to 225. So Mackenzie, at the moment, is going to take the lead of the championship. Ryan will move up to 2nd. Cord will stay in 4th position. Incredible how it's all changed in a matter of seconds. It looks like Brooker has made a mistake somewhere off the track, and that's handed 4th position to Vantage now. And Knott is right on his tail. So Brooker has made a mistake and he's lost 4th place. And he'll want to try and keep hold of 5th if he can. You can see Cord really struggling with the handling of that car now. I don't know if he's been riding over too many bumps or something during the course of this one, which has hurt the floor or hurt the handling of his machine. This has not been his race at all. And Mackenzie, I can tell you, he's just over 9 seconds off Grills at the end of sector 2. Looking at the number of laps we've got left in this race, well, Prentice is just going through the line now. He, I would say, has got 3 laps to go, maybe 4, depending on how quick he is. I would say he's got 3 laps to go in this one. We're just seeing Nez come out of the pit lane. And he'll probably just want to do some laps, but he's not going to get any points out of this. He's way too far behind. I'd be absolutely stunned if the stewards do allow him the points after being so far. He's at least, well, by the looks of it, 27 laps down on the leader. So the leader is on lap 34. The top 7 on the lead lap. So Prentice coming through. He's coming up behind Mike, who's already been lapped in this race. I just hope he takes enough notice of where the leader is actually, because he nearly put Daru in the wall earlier and that was not acceptable. So Prentice crosses over the line now with 3 minutes, 15 minutes to go. This is going to be tight actually. He may decide to just slow down over the line so he doesn't have to complete another lap, but we will get confirmation. We're seeing a little bit of action going on further back. I wonder what's going on there. Well, Daru's coming up to lap what looks like Passion Instant and MPL, who are fighting over 9th position on circuit. So Daru just needs to be very careful here. MPL lets him through, but he needs to be careful not to let Passion through at the same time. He just about stays ahead. We can see, I think that's Ryan who's trying to make his way back through there and unmap himself from these two. They should know that Ryan is already a lap or so behind, so what rotten luck here for Ryan. A chance to take the lead in the championship, gone. You have to wait another week or so before you can try and do that at Watkins Glen, but this is going to hamper his hopes for the title now. Now, with the 441 off track, that's Facco. It's not the first time we've seen him off track in this race, and he needs to be careful not to be cutting corners because that can get him into trouble later, even at this stage in the race. And there's Grills, who's just lapped what looks like Cablo as he went by. The gap between him and Mackenzie's 8.6 seconds. I think Mackenzie's chances of passing him are all but done now. Prentice, as he went over the line, I think this is the penultimate lap of the race. So this is going to be a 37-lap race to the end as Cablo gets out of the way. And yeah, he's just letting the leaders through there. And I think Ryan is not actually too far back. I think he's going to run out of time to catch Cablo, if I'm honest with you. Pit window closed. No need of a notification for that, to be honest with you. See, race leader, long way ahead of Daru at the moment. Daru, somebody mentioned settling for second place. He won't be too downbeat with that. He's driven brilliantly today, as has Frank as well. Kept his car out of trouble all the way through. No problem whatsoever. Well-deserved podium for him today. He's had some luck to get in there, but I think the drive that he's done here at Indianapolis has warranted him a top 3 finish. So for Prentice, 15 seconds to go. He's going to come through. Will he decide to maybe slow down? I think he might do. He's crossing over the line right now. And he's got one more lap to go. In fact, with the time ticking to 0, the race is done. Prentice wins at Indianapolis in the Ferrari. Excellent job from him today. Daru is going to come through to finish in second place. What a brilliant result for him. Race win last week, second here at Indianapolis. He'll take that with both hands. You can tell he's happy with the car headlights flashing, the front headlights flashing. Frank is going to come home in third position, long way ahead of Vantage. Over the line, no problem. And we've got Vantage coming through fourth place, Brooker fifth, not sixth. Grills will be the last driver on the lead lap in seventh place. Mackenzie 8th, Passion 9th, MPL 10th, Yaki 11th, with Facco 12th. Cord is shown in 13th position, but I could well be wrong. Well done to Leo Knott, coming home in 6th place. That's an excellent drive from him. He's a long way ahead of Grills, who's had his best result of the season so far. He hasn't done too many races this season as Grills. This is his 4th race out of 8. His previous best result was 10th at the opening round at Imola, but a 7th place finish won't do too much harm to him at all. Excellent job from him. So that's the end of the race here at Indianapolis. Let's run through the final classification on what's been a brilliant 60-minute race in Tier 3 of Taco Tuesday in the Formula Racing League Assetto Corsa Competizione. Prentice wins by over 13 seconds with Daru in second place. Frank is third ahead of Vantage. Brooker is in 5th. Top 5 finish achieved for him. Liam Knott in 6th place, not far back. Grills 7th ahead of Mackenzie, who will lead the championship after this round by finishing in 8th place, the highest of the championship contenders. Passion in his first race coming out in 9th. Excellent job from him. MPL in 10th place. Yaku's at 11th ahead of Faco. Cord 13th, very disappointed from him. Davidson 14th in the Audi after taking a drive-through penalty earlier on. Mike in a satisfying 15th place for him. Cablo shown in 16th position as well. Ryan 17th after that disconnection earlier on. Facich, the last of the finishers, in 18th place. Gio didn't make it to the end. Nez did get a few laps in right at the end, but he's way too far back, so I highly doubt he's going to be given the points for that. With the championship as it is then, Mackenzie takes the lead from Darskell, who will no longer be competing in Tier 3 in the Taco Tuesday League, so he is now not going to be world champion this season. Mackenzie, he is now looking at the points table. He's got 26 points out of this, so he moves on to 255 points. Ryan, by finishing in 17th place, he gets 14, so he moves on to 242, which moves him in front of Darskell also. He's now into 2nd place. Cord, by finishing in 13th, that gives him 18, so he will move on to 225. He remains in 4th position. And the gap at the top, as a result of it, is 13 points between the top 2 in the championship, between Mackenzie in the lead and Ryan in 2nd place. In the teams championship, Ryan and Cablo's disappointing result has allowed Finnif Oldies, I believe, to close in. They have closed in with an 11th and 13th place finish for them. That gives them 38 points, which will move them on to 357. SBR T3 went into this round with 343 points, but with a 16th and 17th place finish. Doesn't sound like a good result, but there's still crucial points. That gives them 29. So that moves them on to 372. So they are actually still in the lead, but not by much. The gap coming down to 15 points between the top 2 in the team standings. So it's just as close, pretty much, as what it is in the Drivers' Championship, with 2 rounds still to go. I will mention something. Mackenzie and Brooker's points finish for the BBR Racing team, they went into this round 4th in the team standings, but with Mackenzie finishing 8th and Brooker 5th, that gives them a whopping total of 58 points, which moves them on to 321 points. So they are actually only 51 points off the top, which is less than what it was at the beginning of the night. So they are all of a sudden in the championship race in the team standings, should they keep up the run of form. We'll leave it there. Thank you for watching. Make sure you do subscribe to the channel in case you haven't already done so, and leave a like. The next round of the championship, which will be the penultimate round, is at Watkins Glen. Will the championship be decided there? Find out when you can. If you want to get involved also in the Formula Racing League, you can check out all the leagues in the YouTube description on which particular championship you feel interested in. They do PlayStation and PC as well, do the FRL, so feel free to get involved in that if you do so wish. And there's also the social media that you can keep in touch with all the updates going on the Facebook page and the Instagram, FRL Race Hub. I'll leave it there. Thank you very much for joining us, and we'll do it all over again in 7 days' time. I'm Tom Cairns, and I'll speak to you again soon when the Formula Racing League returns.